Hare Krishna, welcome back. So, as we have read through that, four kinds of people do not surrender to Supreme Lord: Naradama, Mura, Maya Paratajnana, and Asurim Bhava Mashata. So, these four people are called Dushkrutinas. So, apparently, it seems that majority or most of them do not surrender to Supreme Lord. Then the question comes, then who surrenders to you and worship you, my dear Lord? So for this question, Lord Krishna answers that four kinds of people surrender to me and worship me. Who are those four kinds of people? Verse number 16. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jignasuradharti jnani cha bharatarshabha. So here in this verse, Lord Krishna talks about four kinds of sukritinas, to the pious people. Translation: O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. Who are they? The distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So these are the four kinds of people who serve the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, unlike the miscreants, unlike the Dushkritinas, these are adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritina. That means Sukritina means the adherents of the regulative principles of the scriptures, or those who obey the rules and regulations of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. So the Sukritina word itself indicates those who are devoted to Supreme Lord, and hence they will follow the rules and regulations of Vedic literatures and worship the Supreme Lord. So in a way, there are few people who are minority in the society who will worship the Supreme Lord with or without desires. So Sukritina means those who are actually learned in the true import of the Vedic literature, who engage in their designated activities according to their varna and ashrama, and they have love for me alone, and hence they worship me. So this is what Lord Krishna indicates, that according to varna ashrama dharma, they perform their duties. At the same time, they worship me because they have love for me. Such kind of people are called Sukritinas. So these are the four kinds of people. Oh, best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. Who are they? Those who are distressed, desirer of wealth, who are inquisitive, and who is searching for the knowledge of the Absolute. These are the four kinds. So here, as we have seen for the previous verse, like how Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, they explain the meaning of these four words. Here also we see Sukritina. Though Srila Prabhupada writes, those who follow the rules of Varnashrama. Artho means some desire relief from affliction, from calamities like sickness. Jignasu means some desire knowledge of Atma or desire knowledge of scriptures with grammar. Artharthi, some desire enjoyment. Artha, arti, those who are desiring wealth. Artha means wealth. Some desire enjoyment in this life and the next with having all the facilities such as land, elephants, horses, women, gold, and other such things. Of course, here elephants and horses are indicated because it is in relation, it is spoken by the previous Acharya Chakravarti saying that in relation to Kshatriyas such as Arjuna, they want to have more and more elephants, more and more horses. That is how the kings used to express their magnanimity and their majesty, etc. And nowadays people possess vehicles, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, etc., etc. So these persons worship me, and these three are Sakama Grasas. The Artho, who is desiring relief from affliction or calamities or sickness. Jignasu, who desires some knowledge of Atma or desire knowledge of scriptures with grammar. Artharthi, who desire enjoyment in this life and in the next life with all the facility that they might want to. And all these three categories want something from the Supreme Lord. With that intention, they come to Supreme Lord and worship him. That's why they are called as Sakama Bhaktas. And mostly these three category people are in Grihastha ashram. That's why they are called Sakama Grihasthas. So that bhakti they perform, the bhakti they perform is called as Karma Mishra Bhakti. So basically they are worshipping the Supreme, hence they are performing bhakti only, but their bhakti is including the Varnashrama duties, because it is very much essential for Grihasthas to perform their Varna duties. It is called as Karma Mishra Bhakti. So they have Varnashrama Dharma along with Bhakti. But on the contrary, the fourth category, the Jnani, he is not the traditional Jnani, but he is also a devotee. The fourth type, the Jnani, with a sannyasi or a renounced order, either Vanaprastha or sannyasi, with pure heart and worships the Supreme Lord with complete devotion. And he has no material desires such as Artho, Artharthi, and Jignasu. And is without material desires. That's why is such kind of a devotee is called as Jnana Mishra Bhakta. He is actually practicing bhakti, but with a tinge of knowledge. He had the knowledge of Supreme Lord. He understands that now the Supreme Lord is the source of everything, and he does not want anything, any material benedictions from this Lord. He only anchoring for spiritual benedictions. So his bhakti is called as Jnana Mishra Bhakti, because his bhakti is tinged with the knowledge of this material world, knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Because of that. And Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan talks about the same four personalities in a different way. Sukritina, engage in their designated Varnashrama activities, and also they have love for the Supreme Lord alone and worship me. Lord says that they have love for me alone, not for somebody else here and there. So who are these four categories? Artho. Some are afflicted by disaster, such as pain from enemies. They desire to eliminate that suffering. Gajendra is an example of this kind of devotee, Artho. Because when he went to the water lake in order to quench his thirst and also take bath and spend some time and sport with his wife and children, etc., etc. That is the time crocodile caught his leg, and he tried himself, and his family member also tried to help him to get rid of that crocodile's influence. But crocodile is so strong that the struggle to relieve from the point of view of Gajendra and the struggle to catch and eat him up from the point of view of crocodile, it went on for many thousands of years. It is a great struggle. At the end, eventually, Gajendra started praying to Supreme Lord to relieve him from this pain caused by crocodile. So something like that. And Jignashu, others desire knowledge of the nature of Atma, distinct from body. So they want Atma Jnana. Example quoted here is Shaunaka, the sages of Naimisharanya. All the sages of Naimisharanya led by Shaunaka the rishis. Because as it is mentioned by Acharyas, all the sages assembled in Naimisharanya with an intention to perform 1000 years sacrifices with a purpose to go to Swarga. But with the association of Roma Harshana Suta, the father of Suta Goswami, they began to hear various Puranas, and because of that, they have lost taste for going to Swarga. Instead, they developed taste for hearing and understanding the Atma Jnana. So with that Atma Jnana, eventually Roma Harshana Suta has been delivered by Lord Balramji, and they get to hear from Suta Goswami, the son of Roma Suta, is also known as Ugrashrava Suta. So when they approached, they are asking about, please speak about that thing which actually satisfies the Atma. What should be the best duty for the Atma, and by which Atma becomes satisfied? Such kind of queries they make. So here they want to know about the Atma distinct from the body, etc. And then third category is Artharthi. Others desire wealth such as kingdom, Artharthi. So Dhruva is an example of this type. So how come Dhruva is an example of Artharthi Bhakta? Because when Dhruva wanted to sit on the lap of his father, Uttanapada, Dhruva's stepmother, say, criticized or chastised Dhruva, saying that since you are not been born by my womb, you are not fit to sit on the throne on the lap of your father. Only my son Uttama is qualified to sit on the lap. If at all you want to sit on the lap of your father, you should die immediately, or you should go to forest, worship Lord Vishnu and die immediately and take birth from my womb. As soon as only if you get birth from my womb, you are qualified to sit on the lap of your father. Such kind of cruel words spoken by Suruchi. Dhruva felt very much offended, and then with the permission of his mother, he wanted to go to forest and get a kingdom greater than his father's. And what to speak of father, greater than his great grandfather, Lord Brahma himself. So with that intention, as Dhruva went to forest, Narada Muni came and instructed him how to do bhakti, etc. Then eventually the heart is purified with the darshan of Supreme Lord, with the touch of Supreme Lord, and he became pure devotee eventually. But his bhakti started with an intention to get a kingdom more superior than that of his great grandfather Lord Brahma. That's why he is an example of Artharati type of bhakta. So thus the first three are called Sakama Bhaktas, because these three are performing or approaching the Supreme Lord and performing bhakti with a desire to fulfill. That's why they are called as Sakama Bhaktas. And the fourth type Jnani is called as the Nishkama Bhakta. Why? The Jnani already knows his self as Atma. He had that knowledge, he had that understanding that he is not the body, he is Atma, and is not interested in fulfilling the demands of the body or mind. So the Jnani already knows his self as Atma, the part, and me as the Paramatma. He also knows me as Paramatma, who is seated in the core of his heart, the shelter of the part, Sheshi. He knows himself as Shesha, he knows me as Sheshi, the master. And thus, Sukadeva Goswami is an example of this type. When Sukadeva Goswami is within the womb of his mother, in spite of being requested by Srila Vyasadeva, he did not come out for 13 long years. Only when Lord Krishna assured him that he will not be bewildered by Maya, he will not be touched by Maya, then he came out. But still he did not stay home. He went to forest. So initially he had such kind of detachment from this material world. So he had complete knowledge about himself. He had knowledge about Paramatma also. He is completely immersed in Brahman. Parinishthitopi Nargunne. But eventually when he heard the glories of Supreme Lord from the woodcutters, who are the disciples of Srila Vyasadeva, he came back home, heard the entire Bhagavatam from Srila Vyasadeva, and then he became perfect devotee, pure devotee. Parinishthitopi Nargunne Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajarshe Akyatani Yadi Aditavan. He heard the glories of Supreme Lord, came home and heard the entire Bhagavatam with full concentration. Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirganta Vivarukrame Kurvanti Hayatukim Bhakti Mittam Bhuta Gunohari. Even though he was situated on the platform of Atma Ramas, but having heard Bhagavatam, being attracted by the glorious character of Supreme Lord, he began to perform bhakti. That kind of transformation took place. So, but initially, he was an example of Jnani Bhakta. So, he is called as Nishkama Bhakta because he has no material desires apparently. So, from that point. So, this is how these four people are clarified in this section of Bhagavad Gita. So, now, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, actually taking the reference from this shloka, he gives an elaborate description of different categories of devotees or different categories of bhakti that is being presented in the Bhagavad Gita and will be discussed in the coming up. Some of it is already discussed in the previous 6 chapters, and some of it will be discussed in the upcoming 6 chapters, and everything will be summarized in the 18th chapter. So there are 3 categories of bhakti. The first category is known as Gunibhuta Bhakti. So that bhakti practiced by people who are under the control of the gunas. So they are called as, they basically practice karma, that means Nishkama Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, and then Ashtanga Yoga mixed with little bhakti. They primarily practice karma, Jnana Yoga, and secondarily practice bhakti. Their bhakti is called as Gunibhuta Bhakti. Processes in which bhakti is a secondary element seen in karmis, jnanis, and yogis, who predominantly desire results for their action. Either the karmis desire bhakti and the jnanis, nishkama karma yoga, sakama karmis desire bhakti, and nishkama karma yogis, jnana yogis, and ashtanga yogis desire mukti. So it is like that. The result of sakama karma is swarga, where they want to enjoy more and more, and the result of nishkama karma is jnana yoga. And the result of practicing jnana yoga and ashtanga yoga is nirvana moksha, or impersonal liberation, sayujya mukti. So the practitioners of Gunibhuta Bhakti eventually get sayujya mukti. They are called as nishkamis, they are called as karmis, jnanis, or yogis by their predominance of the quality, but not as bhaktas, because they are predominantly practicing karma, jnana, yoga. Thus they are called as karmis, jnanis, and yogis, because their practice of bhakti is only a secondary. And then the secondary category of devotees are pradhani bhuta bhakti. For them, the bhakti is the main, and other activities such as karma, jnana, yoga are secondary. And the current verse talking about artho, jignasu, artharthi, jnani. All these four category people come in the category of pradhani bhuta bhakti. So the result of karma mishra bhakti or sakama bhakti is attainment of the respective desires. The like artho, jignasu, artharthi, they are practicing bhakti in order to fulfill their desires, in order to get rid of the miseries, get knowledge, and get wealth. Artho, he gets the deliverance from suffering. Jignasur attains the scriptural knowledge with materialistic methods, and Artharthi gains gain of material benefits. He gets the material benefits. So because of the superior nature of their object of worship, the Lord, even though they are desiring freedom from suffering, knowledge, and wealth, but still they are serving the Supreme Lord, surrendered to Supreme Lord, and performing bhakti primarily. Because of the superior nature of the object of their worship, the Supreme Lord, they attain Salokya Mukti with the predominance of happiness and powers, Sukha and Aishwarya. And they do not fall from that Vaikuntha, like the fall down of karmis, Sakama karmis from Sarga. Sakama karmis following the Vedic rituals, eventually they become qualified to go to Swarga. Having gone to Swarga, having enjoyed, having exhausted their piety, they will fall down. Kshine Punne Marte Lokam Vishanti. In that way. The result of Jnana Mishra Bhakti for the Jnani, the fourth category, is Shantarati or Bhava, as in the case of Sanaka and others. So those who are not interested in material benefits, but only interested in understanding more and more about the Supreme Lord's true nature, true qualities, and practicing bhakti with that intention. So they get to the point of Shantarati. Because there is no intention of serving the Lord directly. So they come to the Shantarati platform. Sanaka, the sages like Sanaka and others are an example of this particular state. Like the four Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, the four Kumaras are an example of Jnana Bhakti. So it continues. By Lord's exceptional mercy, the supreme position of Prema appears, as in the case of Sukadeva Goswami, etc. The four Kumaras such as Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara, they are also an example of Jnana Mishra Bhakti. They come to the point of Shantarati. But in the case of Sukadeva Goswami, by the exceptional causeless mercy of Lord Krishna and Srila Vasudev, Prema appeared in his heart. So, if Sakama Bhakti becomes a Nishkama, eventually when the Sakama Bhaktas in due course of time, they become, because since they are serving the Supreme Lord, when they become freed from all the material desires, they become Nishkama Bhaktas. They begin to practice Jnana Mishra Bhakti. And the result of such Jnana Mishra Bhakti is Shantarati. Sometimes even the Sakama Bhaktas and the Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, Nishkama Bhaktas, attain Prema in Dasya and other Rasas, Sakya, Vatsala, and Madhurya on their own, because of the influence of association with some pure devotees in their previous life. Either in this life or in some previous life, if they had association of one of the great pure devotee, so that impressions are so strong that impressions them can bring them all the way to the prema platform. And there, however, that prema is predominated by the mode of Aishwarya, awe and reverence. So they get to serve the Supreme Lord in Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya and Madhurya, but in awe and reverence, the mode of awe and reverence. So then there is a fifth category of devotee, is also mentioned in 7th and 8th chapters, is called as Mokshakami. Is another type of devotee who practices bhakti with a desire to get moksha. These yogis who strive to destroy the old age and death, jara marana mokshaya etanti, they endeavor to get the freedom from jara marana, birth and death. This is mentioned 729. And they also desire liberation, getting freedom from jara, old age and death, and also want liberation. Sarva dvarani samyamya, 8:12 it talks about. They perform yoga mishra bhakti and attain liberation as per their desire. So they are also, this Mokshakami is also called as Sakama Bhakta because they are desiring liberation from this material world immediately. But the third category, who is called as Ananya Bhakta, Akinchana Bhakta, or Kevala Bhakta, because they are practicing Ananya Bhakti, Akinchana Bhakti, or Kevala Bhakti. So this is the result of this kind of bhakti. This is called pure bhakti without any tinge of karma, jnana, yoga. Unmixed with jnana, karma, or yoga, is that one becomes an associate of the Supreme Lord with Dasya, Sakya, and other rasas. So those devotees who practice Ananya Bhakti or Akinchana Bhakti or Kevala Bhakti without any tinge of jnana, karma, or yoga, they go back to Godhead and they'll be able to serve the Supreme Lord in Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, and Madhurya, etc. Kevala Bhakti was described at many places in Bhagavad Gita, such as Yoginam api sarvesha madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajatu umam samayuktamo mataha maya sakta manapartha yoganjunjan madashraya asamshayam samagram mam yatagjan sashrunu 7:1 and 8:14 ananya cheta sadata and 9:13 mahatmanasu mam partha daivim prakriti mashita bhajanti ananya manaso, etc. And finally 9:22 Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Yajana Parivpaste Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamyam. Even 9:34 also Lord Krishna talks about Manmana Bhava Madbhaktor Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vaishasi Satyam Yuktaivam Atmanam Matparayanam. All these verses talks about the bhakti practiced by an Akinchana Bhakta, Ananya Bhakta, Kevala Bhakta. Having described the Gunibhuta Bhakti in the last 6 chapters, chapter 1 to chapter 6, now the Lord is going to describe the 2 types of bhakti, Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti and Kevala Bhakti, in the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So thus there are 6 category of people who are practicing, 5 category of people practicing Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti and 1 category person practicing Uttama Bhakti or Ananya Bhakti. The Artho, Jignashu, Artharthi are practicing Sakama Bhakti, Jnana is practicing Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Nishkama Bhakti, and Mokshakami is also practicing Sakama Bhakti, and all these 5 category people are practicing Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. And then Ananya Bhakta practicing Ananya Bhakti, pure Bhakti. So among these 4 types who are qualified with Bhakti, those with Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, who is the best? Now the question comes, of course the 4 people are practicing, 4 including Mokshakami, the 5 people are practicing Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. Among these 4, who is best? So when there is such kind of query, now Lord Krishna is going to touch upon those things, starting from 17th verse onwards. Tesham jnani nityayukta eka bhakter vishishyate priyo hi jnani notyartam aham sacha mama priya. Wherein the translation goes like this. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge of me and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to him and he is very dear to me. Priyohi jnaninotyartam aham sacha mama priya. He is very dear to me, I am very dear to him. Among the 4, Artho, Artha, Artho, Jignasur, Artharthi, Jnani, the Jnani is the best. for he is continuously absorbed in me and serving me constantly. That is called Nitya Yukta. So he continues to serve the Supreme Lord with a desire to become an eternal associate of Supreme Lord and continue to serve him in the spiritual world in awe and reverence. So he has full concentration in the mind, unlike the other three, and he has a predominance of unmotivated bhakti. His bhakti is not motivated by material desires like Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi. That's why his bhakti is called as Eka Bhakti, one-pointed bhakti. Not like other jnanis who have a predominance of jnana, etc. The traditional jnanis, though they may practice bhakti, their bhakti contains jnana predominantly, and they are only interested in Sahajya Mukti. But this bhakta is not interested in Sahajya Mukti, but he want to serve the Lord in Shantarasa. I, in the form of Shamasundara, I am exceedingly dear to such a jnani. He cannot give me up either in the stage of sadhana or in the stage of perfection. I also hold him very dear, for I respond to the devotee in proportion to his amount of surrender. So it is like that. So then the question is that if jnani is so dear to you, then what about the other three? What will happen to the other three? Then the first three types of worshippers do not have affection for you and they are not dear to you. So Lord says, no, it is not like that. They are also dear to me, but among the four, this person is a little special. The next verse, Lord says that Udara sarva evaite jnani tu atma eva me matam astita sahi yuktatma mameva nuttamam gatim. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but he who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. Being engaged in my transcendental service, he is sure to attain me, the highest and most perfect goal. Srila Prabhupada writes, it is not that devotees who are less complete in knowledge are not dear to the Lord. The Lord says that all are magnanimous, because anyone who comes to the Lord for any purpose is called a Mahatma or great soul. Udara sarva evaite. The devotees who want some benefit out of devotional service are accepted by the Lord because there is an exchange of affection between the Lord and devotee. Out of affection, they ask the Lord for some material benefit, and when they get it, they become so satisfied that they also advance in devotional service. But the devotee in full knowledge is considered to be very dear to the Lord because his only purpose is to serve the Supreme Lord with love and affection. Such a devotee cannot live a second without concentrating or serving the Supreme Lord. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is very fond of his devotee and cannot be separated from him. Sadhavo hrudayam mayyam sadhunam hrudayam taham madanyat tena janati nahan tebhyo managapi. It's like that. This is the relationship between the Supreme Lord and such kind of devotee. Thus, since the jnani holds me exceedingly dear, they are all generous in giving me love. Udara sarva evaite. It's like that. So those who worship me accepting objects they have desired are certainly dear to me. The Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi, because since they desire something from the Supreme Lord, but still they worship the Supreme Lord. Even though with material desires, they are only worshipping me. That's why they are all magnanimous. Udara sarva evaite. And hence, they are all dear to me. Because they have affection for because I have affection for my devotees. Even though with material desires or without material desires, I'm affectionate to all of them. Because I'm affectionate to all of them, whatever they ask, I give them generously. That is my nature towards my devotee. But on the contrary, the Jnani Bhakta, who has a predominance of bhakti and has offered his mind to me, Yuktatma, with no material desires such as Swarga or Moksha, is considered by the affectionate Lord as his own self. The Lord considered this Jnani Bhakta, who is the affectionate devotee, who has offered his mind unto Supreme Lord. Mam eva anuttamam gatim. Lord considered him equal to himself. Mam eva. He is like me only. He is like my own self. This is because he is firmly convinced that I alone in the form of Shamsundara, not my impersonal aspect as Brahma Nirvana, I am the highest goal to be attained. Anuttamam Gatim. Because this Jnani Bhakta considered that, unlike the traditional Jnanis who consider Nirvana Moksha is the highest, but this Jnani Bhakta considers me, the Shamasundar form, is the highest and aspires to come to Vaikunta and serve me in Shantaras. That's why he is more dear to me, he is like me. But on the contrary, the Kevala Bhakta is considered by the Lord to be dearer than his very self. So Lord says that Artho Jignasu Arthat, the Sakama Bhakta is, I consider them as dear to me. The Jnani Bhakta, the Nishkama Bhakta, I consider him to be equal to me, but I consider the Kevala Bhakta much more than me, is more than my very self. Such is the reciprocation of the Supreme Lord towards the Ananya Bhakta. So why it is so? It is actually indicated in Uddhava Gita, wherein Lord Krishna says that Na tatame priyatama atma yonirna shankara na cha sankarashano na srir naivatma cha yata bhavan. So Uddhava is considered to be an example of such a Akinchana Bhakta, Kevala Bhakta. So while speaking to Uddhava in the 14th chapter, 15th verse of 11th canto, Lord Krishna says that, my dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshana, the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self are as dear to me as you are. Na tatame priyatama atma yonir. Lord Brahma is called Atma Yoni, and na Shankara, nor Lord Shiva, na Sankarshano, nor Lord Sankarshana, na Srir, nor Lord Lakshmi. Sankarshana is Lord's prime principal expansion, and Mother Lakshmi, who is constantly serving him. They are all not as na Atma, not even myself are as dear as you are to me. So that is the position Lord gives to his Ananya Bhaktas. The Jnani Bhaktas are equal to the Lord, the Ananya Bhaktas are superior to the Lord, and the Sakama Bhaktas are dear to the Lord. So, in like that. So that is how the Lord treats this such a Jnani Bhakta. So then Arjuna says that, my dear Lord, you say that this Jnani is fixed in you as a supreme goal. Consequently, this Jnani Bhakta attains you. But after how long does a Jnani Bhakta become qualified as a devotee? And what is the final position of these three types of devotees? Artho, Jignasu, Artha. What is their final position in due course of time? So Lord Krishna says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevam sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So what will be the final destination in the case of Jnani Bhakta or in the case of the Sakama Bhaktas, Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi? What will happen to them while practicing Bhakti? Or what will be the result of their Bhakti? So Lord Krishna says, after many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes, as it is already mentioned in the previous verses. The Lord is Prabhava, Pralayastata, etc. mentioned in the one verse. He is the creator, he is the annihilator, and Lord is the maintainer. Matta Sarvam Pravatma Matta Parataram Nanad Kinchitasi Dhananjaya, Mai Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Maniganaiva. As Paramatma, Lord maintains the entire universe and everything is operated under his control. So one who knows this, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that exists, such a great soul is very rare. So like that, Lord Krishna indicates what will happen to these people. So in due course of many lifetimes, they come to the ultimate conclusion that Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva is everything. Such a Mahatma is very rare. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that exists. Such a great soul is very rare. So it is like that. So Prabhupada writes in the purport at the end of the first paragraph, he says that such a person realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of the spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Lord Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vasudeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrendered great souls are very rare. So, in that way. So, person is born, studies, dies, again born, and becomes inquisitive to know what is what. As a spiritual master is talking to the disciple, he comes close to a spiritual master, becoming inquisitive. In the previous life, he might be interested in Arthu and Artharthi in order to fulfill his material desires in the form of removal of distress and getting wealth, etc. But eventually, in due course of time, he becomes inquisitive, comes in the association of some devotees and gets to hear, gets to understand he is not the body, he is Atma, and is not supposed to work for the fulfillment of the demands of the body and mind. So then he gives up that body, and in the next life, he becomes a disciple of a guru, he becomes a Jnani Bhakta, and he gives up that body, and eventually becomes Ananya Bhakta and goes back to spiritual world. So like that transition takes place. The three Sakama Bhaktas, by their bhakti unto me, after experiencing the material pleasures for many lives, finally in one birth, they find these pleasures distasteful. As they are anchoring for Artha, Jignasu, in many lifetimes, after fulfilling their desires, they understand that these material benedictions are all distasteful. And by the association with a saintly person who know my Swarupa, they gain knowledge of my Swarupa. They become Jnanavan, Mam Prapadyate, and they surrender to me. Thus, they become Jnani Bhaktas. So, in many lifetimes, after practicing bhakti in order to fulfill their material desires, such as Artha, Jignasu, Artharthi, they understand that these material desires are all insubstantial, distasteful. Then they take shelter of a guru. They try to understand the true nature and the true Swarupa of the Supreme Lord. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Eventually, they understand that Vasudeva is everything, and thus they become Jnana Bhaktas. He who possesses knowledge, Manushanam Sahasreshu Kachit Veti Tattvataha. So, in that way, seeing Vasudeva everywhere, after many births, they surrender to me. Such a saintly person surrenders to me through chance association with pure devotees. That Jnani Bhakta has a very steady mind, whether he becomes Mahatma, and such a person is very rare. So, as it is indicated here, Vasudevam Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. As previously, Lord Krishna also mentioned in the third verse, like Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kachin Mamveti Kachit Yatat Siddhaye Yatatamapi Siddhanam Kachin Mamveti Tatvatha. Though many people are inquisitive to understand about who they are, but out of them, very few understand who they are. And out of those who understand that who they are, very few endeavor who the Supreme Lord is all about. Then among them, very few will understand the Supreme Lord as Vasudeva, Vasudevan Sarvamiti. And such a Mahatmas, such a great souls are very rare. So it is like that. So thus, even though with material desires, when a person comes to Supreme Lord, the Lord out of compassion, while fulfilling their material desires, purifies their heart and makes them a Nishkama Bhakta. So that is what is indicated in these verses. And now, starting from the 20th verse onwards, so it is not that every person with material desires comes to Supreme Lord, but others, some very few will come to Supreme Lord in order to fulfill their material desires, but majority will go to the Devatas in order to fulfill their material desires. So what will happen to such kind of people when they go to various Devatas in order to fulfill their material desires is the topic of the next section, starting from verse number 20 to 30. Those who worship the Lord with material desires become liberated by the power of bhakti. But what happens to those who have material desires and worship the Devatas with the desire to remove their suffering or gain some material pleasure or gain some material wealth or gain some knowledge? What will be their destiny? So that will be discussed in the next section, starting from verse number 20 onwards. We will discuss this in the next class. Thank you very much for joining today for our Bhakti Shastri discussion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.